Do you want to meet Corey Feldman and Jameson Newlander, the real Frog Brothers? Join us, the Frog Brothers Podcast, August 20th and 21st in San Antonio, Texas for the Summer of Santa Carla presented by Kings of Horror. Help celebrate the 35th anniversary of one of our favorite films, The Lost Boys. With screenings, autographs, artists, vendors, oddities, readings, comics, food, and more. Plus your favorite podcast hosts, Alec, Justin, and Nick. Go to socialrevoltstore.com for tickets and be sure to follow Kings of Horror on Instagram for updates. Looking to win tickets? Listen to the Frog Brothers Podcast from now until the event and be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts for more chances to win. At Frog Bros Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter. We'll see you in Texas.
Yeehaw!
Welcome back to Haunted by Tapes with the Frog Brothers Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Frog Bros Podcast. My name is Justin.
And I'm Alec.
And I'm Nick. Did he say it weird, or was there some kind of distortion?
There was a little bit of a glitch, but that just happens with Zoom sometimes. It's funny.
I didn't do Haunted by Tapes.
You didn't?
You want to scratch that?
Damn it.
I did the
Yeah,
regular.
I have to edit this anyway, so I'll just cut it out.
Okay.
And if I don't, then, hey, everybody, this is actually Haunted by Tapes, and you're going to listen to Justin do the intro again, so do the intro again.
No, that's
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Haunted by Tapes with the Frog Bros Podcast.
Yeah. I'm Alec.
I'm Justin,
I'm Nick.
and they are both looking at me funny because I usually say another edition, and I said episode, so fuck it all and throw it in the dumpster.
Come on, kill me, I'm here!
That's fine.
I hope up. I wake up every day hoping that will happen.
Quality of our review matches the quality of the movie being reviewed.
Hey, I was 11 when I saw this, so I have fond memories of it. And I will tell you about them gladly while we watch the movie because they're better than the movie, probably.
Your memories?
Yes. Of going to see this movie for the first time.
What was the year?
2002?
2002.
I was 11.
I was graduating high school.
Yeah, I was 19, so
I'm old. So this went through some development. Originally, obviously, at one time there was a George A. Romero script. Jason Patric was going to be Chris Redfield. They had someone else in talks. There's like literally, I saw today. I don't even know why, but there was a. I guess it's relevant. That's why, just because of the new Netflix series. But somebody shared a little magazine clipping that was like years before this movie came out. You know, it was talking about that, and I found that interesting. I already knew about the George A. Romero part, less about the Jason Patric part, but that's interesting because that'd have been cool. Just because
it had to have been better.
Well, so this movie was in development for a little while, and George A. Romero was the second director tied to it to kind of come in and fix the first script. And then obviously we got the film that we got, which was originally titled Resident Evil Ground Zero. And then 9/11 happened, and they dropped the fucking Ground Zero from the title, which Ground Zero would have made a lot more sense.
9/11 doesn't own Ground Zero.
Yeah, but all the news footage saying we're at the site of Ground Zero from 9/11.
They would have gotten buried by.
If I had
9/11.
directed that film, I would have said, "Oh, 9/11 just happened."
I missed the part where that's my problem.
We'll call it Resident Evil Twin Towers.
Who gives a fucking shit?
That's what they should have done. They should have had it take
That's
place.
a horror movie idea right there. Zombies at the Twin Towers.
Oh, the victims of 9/11 come back to life. Oh my God, let's do it.
Oh no! In the next Ghostbusters sequel,
That's it. That's it.
instead of the
I've heard
Titanic
that joke
arriving,
before.
he said "flight," whatever the fuck.
93 just
arrived.
This has landed.
And you see a couple.
Get Cheech back and at the airport.
Yeah. Well,
I used to work in shipping, but now I work at the airport.
Again, you sounded so terrible like that. Just got canceled for your impersonation there, Nick. It was bad.
Man.
I wasn't.
Nothing like Cheech.
I wasn't impersonating Mexicans. I was impersonating Cheech.
Oh shit!
What?
I just hit another button I didn't mean to. That's all. It's all right. We're good. It didn't have anything to do with the program. Just opened another app.
I think his voice is artificial anyway in his movies, right? Doesn't he he doesn't sound like he normally does, right?
Who are we talking about?
Cheech.
Oh.
Isn't it like a character? I don't think he sounded like that in Nash Bridges.
Clearly, Cheech is a character in the Stoner movies he did, yes.
Yeah. So I'm impersonating a character's voice, not a nationality.
Well, that's a funny thing. In the first Cheech and Chong movie, their names aren't Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
So
that's just
sorry.
Yeah, no. It's a whole thing.
The
continuity between the Cheech and Chong movies is fascinating, but we'll get to that at some point.
It's like Tommy Boy and Black Sheep.
We'll have to do it.
When we go down Alex Stoner films, we'll talk about them.
Yeah, why don't we do a Stoner film around? Oh, because it's Justin's birthday on 4/20.
Yeah, so we always do his films.
Ruined it.
We can choose some of those. I can make that happen next year on my birthday.
You can pick a World War II movie next year for Hitler's birthday.
I could also pick a Columbine movie like Bowling for Columbine if you want to watch that next year on my birthday.
Speaking of Bowling for Columbine, you know who's in that movie? Marilyn Manson. You know what he did? He worked on the score for this movie, Resident Evil from 2002, and I'm bringing it around. I want to hear a round of applause for me. Thank you.
Yeah, that was the era when, when that type of music
was
in horror movies.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it was all very popular at this point in time, right? All the...
Look at these better movies. Underworld, Hellboy.
I don't know if Underworld's a better movie.
What's that one?
Yeah, that's a strong maybe.
So Marco Beltrame,
Underworld's gotta be better.
Who did the Scream scores.
I don't know.
And Marilyn Manson did the score to this. And the thing is, I will say that, clearly fuck Marilyn Manson, but I do love this score. You know, I'm not going to go on a whole thing about how amazing everything because of that, but I'm slurring my words.
You can still like his music, just don't pay for it anymore.
Well, that's the thing. I can't listen to his music on a thing like a daily basis anymore or anything. Like if I hear it, I'm like, lame. But I like it in the context of this movie. And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it works because it's got that new metal sound that was so popular at the time, right? You know.
Well, that's the thing.
What they're doing with it, but then with the score mixed in there, it works.
Well, Marco Beltrame, who did the score for Scream, is known for very industrial sounding shit already, but it was still more orchestral than obviously Marilyn Manson or anything. So you add I don't think there were a fuck ton of guitars in Marco Beltrame stuff, but it was a lot of electronics and stuff, and that's what I think is the big addition to this, is more noticeable synth patterns and guitars is what I would say he added to it, but I wasn't there in the studio, but I've watched all the special features on this disc actually back in the day. I really liked this movie growing up. It's definitely problematic, but not like, cancel culture problematic. I mean like just shitty. But I saw this in theaters when I was 11 years old, all right? And I was with a group of friends.
Oh, you were with friends. Okay. I was like, I couldn't remember. I think it was rated R, so I know I could have got you in since I was old enough.
This is the first time I snuck into a movie.
Hell yeah. I'm proud.
Very first one.
So you didn't pay for it?
No, I paid for a movie, but then we snuck into the R-rated one.
I got
this
is
is
what I always did. You buy the PG-13 movie and you go into the theater you want to see it in.
This is AMC 30. So this is 30 fucking screens, and it's in the middle of the day, and we're dropped off 4 kids. I know for sure Nathan was with me, who we've had on the podcast before. One of my friends growing up, and I'm still friends with him. But it was at least me and him, and then 2 of our other friends at the time. Probably a guy named Austin, and then somebody else I can't remember, maybe Nick or Michael. But either way, we went to the theater. We're dropped off by Nathan's mom, presumably, in a minivan.
Well, I remember getting into movies just with a note from your mom, which you could also forge.
Maybe if it was not AMC.
But I was in a small town, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, a local theater might not give a fuck. Also, it depends on the employee and how they're managed and shit. There's lots of factors of that, but you're lucky.
I remember when my friends and I went to see, what's the movie with Dylan and what's it called?
Dylan.
Matt Dillon and
Wild Things.
Denise Richards. Yeah, we went to see Wild Things, and the manager's telling my mom how there's male genitalia in it and shit like that.
Hell yeah.
My mom's like, I don't care.
Kevin Bacon hangs dong.
And you're like, more importantly, I have male genitalia.
He's trying to talk my mom out of letting us see it, basically, but she didn't give a fuck.
Free money.
Yeah, I remember we got into the theater. We bought tickets or something, and I had only started really watching horror movies. Like, I had been tortured by Justin and shown Rumpelstiltskin and Child's Play 2. I think those are the only two, which is ironic because they're very weird short figures that run around doing
Were you super
similar
young
things.
when he started showing you?
Yeah. Like, I was probably like 5 or 6 when I saw those movies. And I didn't see them in their entirety probably because I was a child, so I was probably leaving the room and doing weird shit like, nah, this is fucking too scary. And then But I remember seeing Chucky chopped up by the blades. I'm pretty sure that's Child's Play 2, isn't it?
Yeah, in the doll factory, yeah.
Yeah.
With the babysitter.
Yeah, so...
Or not a babysitter.
And then Rumpelstiltskin was just traumatizing for all the reasons, so...
So Resident Evil.
Well, yeah. What I'm saying is I hadn't seen a lot of
talk about
horror
this.
movies at the time. I'm going to do a big diatribe about this because it's more interesting than the movie itself, I think.
That's fair.
I mean, you know, there's things I like about the movie, too. We'll get there. We got plenty of time here for a minute. Snuck into the movie, watched the movie, was terrified throughout it, and then we got in the car, and I remember Nathan told his mom, we snuck into Resident Evil, and what does normal, well-adjusted family look like? Well, I'll tell you what it looks like. It's when the mother just kind of giggles and says, "Oh, you did not. You're bad." And sort of jokingly implies that, yeah, you're kind of an asshole, but whatever. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, what a relationship.
Yeah.
And then later that night, I told my parents.
Oh, you gotta. Well, that was ignorant.
Yeah, it was. And I got fucking told off, and I remember being forced to sit on the couch, and I remember just crying on the couch by myself for like an hour.
It's just based on a video game. Come on.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I guess I will just never tell you anything again. Gotcha.
It's all downhill from there.
Yep.
And coming from the people that took us to see Terminator 2 in theaters, and coming from the people that scared the living daylights out of me with A Nightmare on Elm Street and everything else, and would routinely torture me with that shit. And you're like, huh, interesting moral ground you got here.
Yeah, I wonder if they thought maybe, I don't know how I phrased it or anything, but maybe they thought we didn't pay for anything and like completely snuck in and like stole the tickets or something, you know, like, I don't know.
Maybe that's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was that.
But I learned that from my aunt. She used to take us. We'd go buy tickets to one movie, and we'd see 3 at the theater that day. We'd just go movie hopping.
We did that other times. We did that all the time at that AMC because from Nathan's house where he lived at the time, we could ride bikes to there all the time.
Yeah.
Did you keep buying concessions the whole time?
No.
No. Okay.
I mean, if you needed a snack or a refreshment.
Like, because if you sneak it around but still buy concessions, I don't think they give a fuck anyway. That's where most of their money is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But if you're not buying anything, geez.
I remember seeing this movie and having religiously played 1, 2, and 3, specifically 2 and 3, because I own 2 and 3. The first one I didn't get until later on, but I'd rented a time or two.
I watched
seen other people
play the first one, but I played the second one. I had the second one on 64, I think.
Yeah, a good friend of mine had the original one, so I watched him play through that, and then the second one came out, and so I started renting that. And I just remember being pissed that they added all this Alice and the Red Queen bullshit to this movie. I'm like, where the fuck are these two characters that have nothing to do with the fucking video games any way, shape, or form in here?
But it contradicts the video games too. It's not just like another story that's also going on in the universe. It's like its own continuity, right?
Right. Well, that's the thing is like you could almost take it as that, but like
at least the sequels I know contradict the main games. I don't remember.
Well, yeah, at least a little bit for sure. Mm-hmm. Just because of characters like Carlos and
But like if this was just a separate story going on around the same time, it kind of adds to the video games. But
Yeah,
that'd have been cool. But
they also already mentioned Nemesis at the end of this movie and things like that, where you're like, okay, I guess.
I want him for the Nemesis program. And you're like, oh god, so much cringe in there.
So let's go down with this. I do like the opening of at the office, and everybody starts to fucking die, and clearly the cool scene's the elevator one where that scared the shit out of me.
Yeah,
Still freaks me out when I'm walking through elevator doors.
why do they have ventilation in the room that allows viruses and shit to escape? That doesn't make sense to me.
well, that's the thing. If you think about it, it wouldn't work that way. That would be a clean room, and that would be a tight airspace, and so that virus never would have escaped had that really been a lab.
Speaking of tight airspace,
Your butt.
Mila Jovovich wakes up naked in the
Oh
shower.
god.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
Which is pretty tastefully done, right? I mean, they show her they're wrapped up with the
you
curtains.
see some nipple though.
Yeah. Then the end of the movie, she's wearing like
Well, in the next movie,
a couple pieces of paper.
throughout the next 2 movies at least, I know you see more nipple. So
Yeah, you see
I'm
some-
pretty sure she's married to Paul W.S. Anderson, isn't she? Or was?
I'm not sure.
probably at least at one point in time.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on all that, but yeah, the commandos come in there,
Commandos.
and let's just say my favorite character is Rain. Michelle Rodriguez takes the cake in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Best fucking character.
Yeah, she's solid.
Um,
Well, what's his name from some of the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies is the main team leader.
oh, the
that-
bald guy.
that gets diced up at the end or toward the end. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was in all of them, but Goldeneye.
the black guy, right?
Yeah.
I was about to say, I know that he was in.
I don't see color, but yeah, I think so.
Oh, you finally got Alec on one. That's excellent.
No, that people who say I don't see color, that's the thing you don't want to say. So
Well, don't be ableist. Some people
That's a
are
self-report.
Some people are colorblind.
What?
I said some people are colorblind.
some people are deaf too.
Huh?
Exactly.
Is that what he's doing?
Huh?
Yeah, smart ass.
So yeah, they're kind of sneaking their way. They get on the train, they figure that thing out, and it's kind of like okay, the music is almost techno-y and less industrial at some points, and you're like, all right, clearly getting some Matrix vibes, which we'll get to later as well. We get it. The Matrix came out. We get it. It's a movie.
That new metal riff.
Didn't another Matrix movie come out in 2002, or was that 2003 and 4? I'm not a huge
The
nerd
first
about
one
it,
was
so.
99 or 2000, wasn't it? I think 99. And then it
99.
was on video in 2000, I think.
I've seen the second and third one maybe once. I never saw the
Oh,
fourth.
I mean-
And the first one I've seen maybe 2 or 3 times.
I've seen the first one 2 or 3 times, and then that's it.
Did I watch
It's not a really movie I really care about. If I want to watch Keanu Reeves, I'm going to go with fucking Point Break nowadays, or in the old school times, it would have been Bill and Ted.
Well, I'm gonna go
Or
with.
Cruise. Or
Speed?
He's thinking Speed 2 Cruise Control with Jason Patrick.
but no, I don't like that one. I mean, it's
Jason Patrick's in it though.
yeah, it's good. I mean, that makes it more valid than a lot of other movies in the world.
You got to hype this man up. You're gonna be in person with him.
Well, he's going to be he's going to be the cream to our Oreo cookie.
I get the mouth.
Yeah.
He might be watching this.
I hope not.
Maybe he's into
If
it.
so,
We don't kink shame around here, Nick.
He just hands you his hotel room key. Next month there.
I don't know.
So one of my favorite things, you see the dogs early on in the film, like, oh, they're going to zombify the dogs.
Yeah.
And the dogs kept eating the
That's
fucking
called foreshadowing.
foreskin shadowing. Yeah.
Well, it looks like what the dogs are wearing is foreskin, and as you were about to point out, they were eating it. Yes.
What happened to
they're
the
eating it and
dogs?
licking it off all
When
the
you
time.
see them, they got like parts of their bodies missing. Like
CG.
I mean, did they get in fights? Did they eat
Well,
each other?
clearly,
or-
yeah. One woke up before the others and started fucking up the dead bodies, and then the other ones woke up. You have to assume that with the zombies there down there too, because all those people were supposed to be killed around the same time, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then the laser scene happens in the hallway and you lose a bunch of people.
That's probably my favorite scene.
It's pretty cool.
See,
The
Jack.
deaths are
Very
really cool.
timely of the time, though. You know, it feels like a 2002 move.
That felt like the real life version of something you'd have seen in the Matrix, right? I mean, that was really kind of derivative of that. Just even the color of the laser was that kind of green electronic look that was in all over the Matrix and the scrolling text of Doom they kept showing.
Yeah. And then they finish the mission. And then they
Mission.
they reboot the bitch, which unlocks and reboots everything and lets out
All the dead people.
yeah. And presumably the Red Queen is manipulating where and when to let loose liquors and shit too. So then you get that axe dragging sound and Rain goes and gets her ass bit by a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have that scene where the zombie disappears. But you do have the funny line, "I shot her 5 times. How is she still standing? Bitch isn't standing now."
Oh, and that scene is so absurd because she gets shot with that machine gun and then like fucking flies 20 feet and flips over backwards, that zombie, and you're like, oh, okay.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. She kind of steals the show in this movie, though. She's really one of the best characters in there because, like, as you see her get sicker and sicker throughout this movie, she like legit looks fucked up.
Yeah.
The sweating, the uncomfortableness there.
Michelle Rodriguez is the GOAT. So.
And then we keep getting all these flashbacks throughout the movie as they start to recover from their amnesia.
Oh yeah, that shit's funny. And
The fucked up thing about this movie is, they don't use any named characters from the game series in here, really. It's all basically just bullshit made up stuff. And then in the sequels, they go out of their way to like, hey, we're going to drop some characters in here that are meaningless. And
Because
rerun
people
the movie.
bitched about it so much.
Yeah. Kind of trash. I mean, for a zombie movie, it's okay. But for anyone that played the games, you're like, what the fuck are you doing?
What's the new series? Do they have a lot of characters, or is it kind of original? I don't really know much about it.
We'll talk about that another time. We got to get through this trash heap before we can go anywhere else. It is interesting, though, because some of the CGI in this movie looks really, really fucking dated, like straight out of the video games. And then some of it looks pretty good. Like some of the
liquors are the shit that look like shit mostly.
The first scene of the liquor looks terrible. Some of the other scenes look better. And then as it morphs into whatever else because it's absorbing people's DNA.
Well, there's practical shots of that too.
Yeah, and all obviously clearly those look better, but even some of the CGI just looks better layered and rendered. So.
Well, like when it's in the tubes and in the thing when you first see it, then it's practical too. It looks great there as well.
Yeah, that first time you see it like crawling on the ceiling, though, you're like, oh my god.
That's why they show it through the fucking security camera.
Well, in dark lit scenes, that first time you see it, it's like a well lit room, and you're like, okay, that CGI did not age well. The rest of it's more tolerable, but
the other badass character is Kaplan.
Yeah, he's good.
Because he just keeps fucking coming.
Mm-hmm.
All fucking over the place. He's walking around with white stains all over his pants. I like the zombies' looks in this movie for the most part. And the thing about this movie that is interesting, that if you can separate it enough from Resident Evil and just think of it as a schlocky zombie movie, then you can have a good enough time because you still get the classic style slow-moving zombies, even though this is kind of in that transition period where you get a lot of fast-running zombies. And not that those are bad by any means, but this is just more of the classic style.
Yeah, this is very much in a similar time frame where 28 Days Later came out in a similar vicinity to this, and that really changed the game to what people were expecting. This was more traditional, but it also had more of that monster film too, because all the other creatures in there that you don't normally see in zombie flicks.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed about this first movie is like Alice is a badass and like, does all the roundhouse kicks and shit, but she's not at the same level she is like in other movies where she's almost like undefeatable. Like in this, she's like,
well, yeah, because she hasn't mutated again. She mutates again when they have her at the end of the second movie. that's when she develops telekinesis.
Yeah.
So in the third movie, she's manipulating fire with her mind and shit.
Yeah, and then they have all the clones of her later on, and you're like, oh man, it's just crazy how fucking bizarre and abstract the series.
Hot take, weird opinion. Out of the series, the second one's my favorite movie because it feels the most like a Resident Evil movie. Because for the most of it, they're walking around in the city during the dark. The scenery looks very much like Resident Evil 2 and 3.
Yeah, this one's kind of claustrophobic in those small spaces in this office.
Which would be okay if it was just a mansion. Mm-hmm. And it had, the formula's right there. I don't know how they keep fucking it up and not making a Resident Evil movie that people want to see or a show. They just are like, no, dude, this is my Resident Evil. Like, this is my new character here, Alice, or whoever the fuck.
Yeah, they want to do their own thing.
And like, no, I'm going to take some things from Resident Evil, but
This would be an easy movie to get right, too, because all you got to do is take the haunted house genre and mix it.
It doesn't even need a big budget.
No, it doesn't. You could do this dirt cheap.
Almost all of it takes place in a field in a fucking mansion. That's what you need.
Yeah, and then there are the hidden places around there, but there's also like the pool house, the other kind of shit that's all around the mansion before you
shoot it in the same house you shot Clue in.
Holy shit, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Wouldn't be
do a crossover.
It's a no-brainer, but I think everyone's just too afraid to be too derivative of the source material, which
that's what people want. That's why Marvel is successful, because it is very derivative of it. And given they change some stuff too, but like. You look at it and you're like, oh, yeah, I can tell that that's Captain America. You show me screen grabs from this, you're like, what is this? This is a zombie movie, I guess.
So short of having a screen grab of a licker or one of the dogs, yeah, you have no idea. Because this using the Doberman Pinschers as the zombie dogs was like part of the game and, pretty steady for the series. So, okay, whatever.
So in the second movie, you have, I'm not going to go on a whole review thing here or anything, but you have Jill, and I do like that portrayal of Jill.
Mm-hmm.
Just because her outfit's close enough, and she's pretty badass in that movie. And then you have Carlos is also in that.
Oh, yeah.
And he's in the third movie as well, and then Claire Redfield's introduced in the third movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Chris Redfield's introduced in the fourth one.
Where's
and then
Leon S. Kennedy?
Fifth or sixth one.
Yeah.
But by then it's completely weird and irrelevant. Like the one of them takes place completely in a fucking dome where Alice is fighting through a fake recreated Earth. And it's like, what the fuck am I watching?
How did they end up making that many of these fucking movies?
I don't
I tried to watch them all once, like kind of like a
So here's the thing. The first movie I think was like a $33 million budget for 2002 and it made like $100 million. So even despite it not doing well, people just ate this shit up. And
well, that's what happens.
Yeah, but what about all the sequels? Do they make a lot of profit?
They did.
That's why Suicide Squad got sequel. And like, they were like, yeah, it's a success. Because people went to see it even though it sucked. It's just based on their initial if you went to see it or not, which it's really...
Well, I think they're like, oh, we can fix it. We can make it good.
We have the technology.
So they try it again. And they did make it better, I thought, the second one. But
well, it's an improvement, but like, how do you improve a turd? Take the peanuts out of it? Like what?
Yeah, it's like polishing the turd, right? You can polish the turd, but at the end of the day, it's just a shiny turd. It's like a petrified turd. Yeah, it might be a rock now, but it was still shit at one point in time.
Petrified.
You may wonder, how can wood get so hard? Well, the wood became hard over 5,000 years ago.
And the tonal thing with this movie, right? You know, they briefly show the mansion shit, which kind of overshadows like any significance to it. And then...
Well, it's like a dick tease. It's like, ooh, look at the spooky mansion we're going to be taking place some shit in. Nope. Instead, we're going to look at some boring laboratories.
Isn't Alice's dress basically the same as Ada Wong's dress in the video games?
Kind of, but...
It's red and it's longer on one side.
That's Code Veronica she's in first? Is that right? Or is that she in the third one first?
Ada Wong?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't remember her origin specifically, but yeah, she's a long-running character in the series for sure. So...
But that's the thing is like... Ugh, I don't know. They just fuck up adaptions. I haven't watched the new one yet, to be fair. I also didn't watch the one from last year, the movie.
That I like better than anything in the new or in the original Resident Evil movie series.
I've seen some of the animated movies that aren't too bad.
I just like I'd rather just watch cutscenes at that point from a video game because they're better still.
Might as well just play the video game.
It's like the Mortal Kombat. If you want a good Mortal Kombat movie, go look at Mortal Kombat 9 cutscenes, all cutscenes, and it's 2.5 hours of the cutscenes from that video game. And it's the best Mortal Kombat movie ever.
Go look at the Mortal Kombat TV show.
Which one? There's like 3.
Jesus, I don't know.
And the
Animated series.
No, the live action is what I'm talking about.
This first live action one from the 90s?
I think so.
Conquest?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some good shit.
Didn't what's her name? She was in
That would air next to like Xena Warrior Princess and shit.
Didn't that one actress come back from the first movie? Isn't she in the TV show?
I don't think
too?
anyone's in it.
Oh. Maybe she did one of the live. Was there more than one live action series?
Yes.
Maybe she did the other one.
The other one came out in like 2013 or 12
I can't
or
think of her
something.
name. The girl from
Mortal Kombat Legacy, but it wasn't TV show. It was like an internet
The
show.
girl from License to Kill, the Bond movie. Who'd she play? I can't think of her name now. The first Mortal Kombat. I think she's in both Mortal Kombat movies, actually.
Huh.
I can't think of the name.
Yeah, I mean, just lacking even having like Albert Wesker in this movie. You're just like, okay, what the hell are you guys doing? Right? You got to have some stuff in here.
I don't know. Wesker's an annoying character to me. That's one like I would be happy to not see, but yet they always are like, let's include Wesker. Like,
Didn't they make him black in the new TV show or movie, and people bitched about that?
well, I don't give a shit about that. He's black or white is a shitty character. Either way, I don't care. He's the mad scientist who later in in the games and movies has like superpowers and shit like Alice does. I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Well, I think in the fourth one, didn't he get infected with the parasite or whatever?
Jesus, I really don't know.
I played the fourth one a whole bunch.
I think it was the 7th game that was pretty good because they dropped all that kind of
I
Wesker
haven't
shit.
played that yet. I need to play that.
And 8 is out at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But 7 was really good, and I mean, people were saying
it kind
8
of goes
was
back
really
to
good.
basics, yeah. It's like 5 and
It was
6.
actually terrifying to play, 7 is, so,
I need to play that.
yeah.
Yeah, the game is better. Stick to those.
Yeah, that's the thing. I want to get the remakes of these games and play the...
Yeah, I want to remake it too. I guess they remade it to be more like 4, right? With the
shooting style,
with the
I
play
think, and stuff, yeah.
and not the crazy camera. Which
Yeah,
I
see, I have the
go back to. I tried, but
It's hard as hell.
I downloaded the reboot, or I bought the reboot of the original Resident Evil that came out for GameCube on the Switch just as a download because I never played it. But basically, when Nintendo got the exclusive rights and 4 was coming out, they redid the first one and then did Resident Evil 0.
Well, they had a Resident Evil rail game on Wii. Do you remember that?
I didn't play it. I think.
We had it at least for a bit. We played it, I remember, at least once or twice.
And then there's a Resident Evil game that took a lot of the same scenes and stuff from Resident Evil 2 that was like an online multiplayer on the PS2. That I bought the game and I didn't have multiplayer adapter and I didn't have the online stuff for it, so the game sucked. But you know, it's like, oh, Resident Evil, didn't even think about it when I bought it. Got hosed on that one.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well,
Hosed.
that's Resident Evil. Overall,
hoser.
it's you know,
Overall, it needs an overhaul.
yeah. I need to watch the other Resident Evil adaptions to make like a call of which one is more accurate and which one is still better to me. Because I don't hate this movie entirely, but I will fully admit that it's nostalgia based mostly. That was 11.
Well, I can tell you, since I saw the movie reboot last year, there's things in that I really liked. I enjoyed. You know, they kind of set it up. They kind of sped through some things, which is my main issue with it. But overall, it was enjoyable. I liked it better because it's more true to the video games as far as character development and the characters you see. Obviously, they took some liberties elsewhere, but you see a fair amount of the mansion and things like that, so that's good.
Are they making
Kinda
sequels of that?
I think they decided they were going to. I'm not 100% sure, honestly. And then I did binge watch the new series over the weekend, and a lot of people are hating on it. I enjoyed it. It's kind of a slow burner. Wesker, they made a, you know, I've really hated him in the movie series. and even some of the video games, he gets really annoying. And in this series, they did a good enough job with him, and the actor did a solid job with his portrayal. I didn't hate him the entire time.
I've seen mostly hate for this show on YouTube, or I mean on Twitter, though.
Somebody on my Facebook
It's surprising, but
somebody on my Facebook was bitching because or TV show reviewers only watch like 2 or 3 episodes and then they give a review. He's like, he only watched 2 episodes and trashed it. Why didn't you watch it all? Like, why would you watch it all?
if it was trash.
So
yeah.
the first 3 episodes are fairly slow paced, but here's the screwy thing, right? So you jump timelines. So you jump from 2022 to 2036.
Oh my God, it's in the future.
Well, it's annoying because you jump like half of each episode kind of takes place in the present 2022 and half of it takes place in the future 2026.
Why does it need to go in the future? I guess I need to watch it.
Yeah, you'll need to watch it. But the thing I did like is it does its own thing without like fucking up some of the lore to the original, because basically they acknowledge that the original Raccoon City was destroyed by a nuclear blast and covered up by the government. And it takes place, New Raccoon City. So the T virus is already a thing, and you kind of got a thing for it. So it's running its own ground.
Takes place. It's the new Titanic. It's Jurassic World. Fucking.
Is that new Titanic set sail yet? I was hoping it was gonna sink.
Yeah,
It's even more hilarious to know the plot of that. I'm gonna still try to watch like the first episode. At least it's like acknowledging that stuff, but then it's like, okay, that's the more interesting stuff. That's the stuff I want to see, not this.
well, it held my attention because right now we see how fucking inflation's out of control, the world's out of control, and then it's basically the social commentary on like how fucking greedy corporations are really fucking stuck with me throughout this whole series, is what made it really enjoyable for me.
Is it visually good? Like, is there good effect?
Yeah, so there's some really great sequences in there. As far as the visuals go,
Wesker's the only one from the games.
trying to think of who else. Well, I don't want to spoil it for you, so. Takes place far enough in the future though, and there is some shenanigans that kind of lead it all together. Like I said, it's not a faithful adaptation necessarily to the games, but it acknowledges them in a way that you're not pissed because they didn't just go back and fuck up everything you want to see, that it's already been fucked up twice to varying degrees. And then, when you look at the animated series they've done, none of those animated series have been a plot for plot delivery of the stories from the games. It's all like, hey, here's Leon Kennedy doing some shit, like, and we have cool CGI for him. And you're like, no one gives a shit. You have a good CGI model of Leon Kennedy from the games you used in a fucking made-for-TV movie that sucks. All the animated stuff has sucked. So,
I would say it's probably. I think, to be fair, even without having seen 2 of the things that are out, Resident Evil-wise, I think it all sucks. But that's based on what I've seen so far. So
yeah, none of it's great.
That's unfair judgment, but I just don't have high hopes. Maybe that'll make it better. I'm more interested in the movie from last year just because it actually has fucking characters from the shit.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, check that out though. The movie itself is decent. That's probably my favorite out of all of them, is that last movie. The series, this newest one, is okay. Like if they do another season, I'll be in on it. But just with mixed reviews, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, there's just something weird about like.
No one's ever wanting to take that source material and run with it in a fun way. Like they all want to be like, oh, we need to do too much with it. Like, no, make it real fucking simple. It needs to be a haunted house with zombies. Make it.
I'm pretty sure Romero's script had the characters from the book.
He changed.
Chris Redfield was changed into like a Native American who.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole thing. Like you didn't need to do. You could just write a new character in there. But whatever, I get it. I'm pretty sure the Barry character was in there. What's his name?
He had a lot of characters in there, Barry and some of the other STARS members and stuff. So it makes sense. Like looking at that script and just reading about it, that would have been probably the best. But for whatever reason, someone decided to make the trash that we just reviewed.
Well, that was Haunted by Tapes, ladies and gentlemen. We'll probably... I don't know, I feel like we may eventually get around to reviewing another Resident Evil movie. But if we do it, I don't think we'd go past the third one. Like, at all.
If we do, we just got to talk about the franchise in general and maybe.
Yeah, we
pick
could
out-
watch them all.
Yeah,
and just
maybe-
kinda do a overall review.
The only thing I could think of that I want to do for that would be like the top 5
Yeah, then we can rank them.
over the series of the movie. I don't want to rank the movies.
I was about to say, I can tell you right now, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and then everything else is in last place together because I don't give a shit.
Yeah, everything else should be on fire and in a dumpster and removed.
They could have
from
just done like, okay, we're going to adapt Resident Evil 7 because that's already a new and unique story, but it's still very interesting. If you've not played it, I recommend at least just watching a playthrough of it. Because it's like impressive, I think.
Yeah.
And it's old as hell now because, you know, I am old as hell and time keeps on slipping into the future. Okay, good night, everybody.